Have you ever felt like you're just drowning in information? Where every headline seems designed to make you angry and the world just feels, well, more polarized every single day.
Oh, absolutely. It's easy to feel totally overwhelmed, like there's just no escaping all the negativity.
Well, today we're doing a deep dive into a really unexpected take on self-help. It's actually from someone who kind of hates traditional self-help, which is interesting in itself.
Right.
We're looking at excerpts from Greg Gutfeld's book, The Plus, Self-Help for People Who Hate Self-Help. And our mission, really, is to figure out his pretty surprising philosophy, this idea of turning minuses into pluses, and how he applies that framework to, well, everything from just feeling better day to day to dealing with all the chaos in modern society.
Yeah, it's quite a framework.
So think of this as your shortcut to understanding this plus idea, its relevance for you, and maybe getting some practical takeaways. Okay, let's unpack this.
It's definitely a pivot for Gutfeld. I mean, most people know him for satire, political commentary.
Well, not self-help.
Exactly. But what's really interesting is how upfront he is about his own past. He admits his hypocrisies, but he actually uses them as the very reason he thinks he has something valuable to share now.
It's fascinating, isn't it? Before the TV stuff, he spent years writing and editing for magazines like Prevention and Men's Health.
Yeah, I remember that.
Giving out health and fitness advice, writing columns like Interior Bodybuilding. And he says this himself, during that exact same time.
I think he was living the opposite life.
Totally. Eating steak every night, lots of wine, apparently struggling with panic attacks on stair climbers. He said he felt gross doing it.
Yeah.
So what brought him back? Why write this kind of book now, after all that?
Well, he says he thought he'd never give advice again. But now, he's 55, and he feels like he's in the happiest phase of his life.
Okay.
And he links that feeling directly to Jonathan Rauch's idea of the happiness curve.
The U-shaped curve idea. Happiness dips midlife, then goes up.
Exactly. So for Gutfeld, it wasn't just, oh, I feel happier. It felt like confirmation that maybe his mistakes, his weird path, actually gave him some real insights worth sharing.
So how does he actually explain this core plus philosophy? What makes it different? It sounds like more than just, think positive.
Oh, definitely. He describes it as a fundamental shift, almost irreversible once you get it. The core idea is the simple system, plus versus minus.
Okay.
He jokes about wanting to brainwash the naive and create a cult around it, comparing it to like a Maroon 5 fan club or even Scientology.
Jokes for a boat, right?
Yeah, hooks for a boat. But, beneath the jokes, he's serious about it being a practical tool, a way to analyze choices, interactions, and actively make your life better.
So what does that look like for him, like a personal plus?
Well, for Gutfeld, sometimes it's really simple, like throwing cash at someone's problem if you can.
Right.
Or, more often, it's about consciously injecting optimism on his shows, even when the news is grim. It's about actively putting positive energy out there.
Okay, that makes sense. So taking that core idea, how does he suggest we use it? How can we cultivate a more positive outlook ourselves?
He tells a great story about the comedian Tom Shillue. Shillue has this mindset of being habitually surprised by life. His advice is literally, look out.
Look out.
Yeah, like frame nervousness not as something to dread, but as an adventure waiting to happen. If you think about the bigger picture, it's about swapping that automatic dread or anxiety for curiosity.
That's a powerful switch.
It really is. It's a mental health shift, basically.
And what about the other side? What's a big minus he warns us about?
He really hammers on the relentless desire for novelty.
Novelty, like new things.
Yeah. He thinks this constant chase for the new, whether it's scrolling online, new relationships, even things like painkillers, can actually destroy the good things we already have.
What?
So for him, saying yes to risky novelty, that's usually a minus. Learning to consciously walk away, that's a huge plus.
Yeah.
He even talks about his cruelty-free diet.
Cruelty-free diet, what's that?
He claims he cut down his own mean or cruel actions by 2/3, just by actively thinking, how can I be a plus in this situation?
Wow. That's quite specific.
Yeah.
So if we're aiming to be a plus, how does that play out in, say, dealing with conflicts or past mistakes? That gets complicated.
Yeah, and he has some really interesting concepts here. One he calls mutually assured forgiveness, MAF.
Mutually assured forgiveness. Like MA, but for forgiveness.
Kind of. The idea is you choose to forgive someone, even if they don't apologize or forgive you back.
Why?
He sees it as an investment in your own peace. You stop waiting for something that might never happen.
That takes strength. Okay, what about this other idea? Vice signaling. That sounds intriguing.
It is. It comes from Eric Weinstein. Vice signaling is basically owning your flaws, your past mistakes, your vile practices, as Gutfeld puts it, before anyone else can use them against you.
So you beat them to the punch.
Exactly. Gutfeld did this all the time on his old show, Red Eye. He'd happily mention past drug use, weird stuff. The point is, you take control of the narrative. You disarm people. It actually builds a weird kind of trust because you're being upfront about not being perfect. It removes their leverage.
Huh. And how does that connect to just, like, making everyday decisions better?
Yeah.
Or managing your mood?
It leads right into it. His advice is, before any big decision, ask yourself, how am I feeling right now?
Okay.
Because he realized his own dumbest moves were almost always driven by his mood at that moment. His mantra is, a deep breath beats a hot take.
I like that.
Yeah. And he also warns against making decisions out of boredom or just because something seems new and exciting.
Yeah.
That novelty trap, again, often leads to regret.
He also has some pretty strong advice about dealing with the online world, which is a constant minus for a lot of us.
Oh, yeah. His take is basically, treat the online world like some random stranger who doesn't care about you.
Harsh, but maybe true.
Probably. So instead of pouring energy into arguing with online strangers, he says, turn to the actual person closest to you physically.
And do what?
Give them a compliment, even something simple like, hey, have you lost weight? He thinks that one small, real interaction changes someone's life way more than endless online chatter.
He even compliments himself when he's alone, right?
He admits it, whatever works, I guess.
Right. And what about choosing who you spend time with? This wisdom leeching idea.
Yeah, wisdom leeching. It's about deliberately seeking out people smarter than you and shoplifting their wisdom, as he puts it.
Shoplifting.
His point is, asking for advice actually makes the giver feel good, feel valued. It creates a positive exchange.
But with limits.
Definitely limits. He says, keep it in the realm of friendship. Don't ask them to help you dump a body or do your complex taxes.
Good advice.
Okay.
Okay, so we've got these personal pluses, strategies, but a big part of the book tackles broader societal minuses, right? Specifically this idea of mob rule. What's different about mobs now?
He argues social media has totally changed the game. Back in the day, you needed actual pitchforks. You had to physically gather.
Right, effort.
Now, you can whip up a massive storm of outrage from your couch. Hundreds of thousands of voices instantly galvanized.
It makes creating a pile-on incredibly easy.
Frighteningly easy. And he's seen how fast those narratives take hold, especially with the media jumping in.
Does he give examples?
Yeah, he points to things like the differing reactions to Majin Kelly's blackface comments compared to, say, Justin Trudeau or Ralph Northam for similar things, a kind of selective outrage.
Mm-hmm.
And he shares a personal minuses moment, the Covington Catholic kids incident.
Oh, right, the confrontation at the Lincoln Memorial.
Yeah, he admits he was watching the initial viral video, smirking kid, Medjier hat, Native American activist while drinking some rosé, and he immediately tweeted condemnation.
Based on that first impression.
Exactly. Only later did the fuller picture emerge involving the Black Hebrew Israelites who had apparently been provoking everyone. But the media, he says, had already grabbed the simple outrage-friendly narrative.
So this raises a huge question, doesn't it? How easily are these narratives built and swallowed whole? And what's the media's role in amplifying them?
Precisely his point. He argues the media often simplifies, even orchestrates these things because outrage drives clicks and ratings. This leads him to his prison of two ideas theory.
The prison of two ideas.
Yeah, it's the idea that complex issues always get forced into just two opposing camps. Like you either want to fight the pandemic or save the economy.
When reality is way more nuanced.
Exactly. He argues there are infinite possible stances, but the media rewards the simple two-sided conflict. It's good for business, even if, as he says, it causes the death of real conversation.
Wow. Okay, so this prison and the mob mentality, what does that mean for us individually, especially when it comes to admitting we might be wrong about something?
It ties into what he calls the curse of the sunk cost.
Sunk cost.
Yeah.
You've already invested too much to back out.
Exactly. You refuse to admit you're wrong because you've put in too much time, emotion, maybe reputation. He even uses his own experience sticking it out too long at prevention and men's health as an example. He literally needed to get fired to leave.
Been there.
Right. And he has Gutfeld's law for this. If you contributed nothing at the time of the event, then you can't point fingers in the future.
Ooh, that's sharp.
His advice, if you do screw up, don't minimize it, apologize with verve, own it big time, almost exaggerate it, so it serves as a real reminder of your own fallibility.
Okay, apologize with verve. I like that. And this obviously connects to cancel culture, which he clearly sees as a massive societal minus.
Hmm.
How does he frame that?
He calls it public shaming aimed at destroying people's lives, and says it's often driven by an imagined moral imperative.
Own words.
He thinks it thrives on a mix of hysteria, envy, and restless anger, making it dangerously easy to just wipe out, eradicate, and cancel people.
Does he give examples there too?
Yeah, like Joe Rogan getting attacked for endorsing Bernie Sanders, of all people, or a NASCAR driver losing a sponsor over something his dad said decades ago.
Wow.
The danger, he argues, is always assuming the worst intent, treating apologies like blood in the water, chum, he calls it, and the idea that your distant past is never really past.
So this raises another really important question. What happens to creativity, to risk-taking, if people are terrified that one mistake, even from years ago, could ruin them?
That's exactly his concern. He feels we've lost that sense of supportive community and replaced it with isolating social media where everyone's playing TMZ, looking for gotcha moments.
And humor gets caught in the crossfire too, right?
Big time. Humor normally bridges divides, right?
Yeah.
It levels things. But he says when you start seeing the other side as pure evil, you can't allow laughter because that would normalize them.
You can't laugh with evil.
Right. He points to people like Gilbert Gottfried getting in trouble, but also positive examples like when Pete Davidson and Dan Crenshaw managed to find humor after their SNL spat. Humor can cut through it.
Okay, so given this landscape, the mobs, the unbending minds, the fear, how does he suggest we actually navigate it? How do we build a plus life despite all these minuses? What about dealing with those unbending minds?
He uses a funny analogy. Trying to argue with a truly unbending mind is like arguing with a bank's customer service rep who's just following a script.
Okay, yeah, futile.
Pretty much. So his advice is twofold. You could try to indulge the hostage taker, give them some tiny meaningless concession just to move things along.
Appeasement, kinda.
A little bit. Or often more effectively, just write them off. Avoid them. Don't waste the energy. And crucially, learn to separate your dislike of someone from the actual results or effects. Like Al Davis with the Raiders. Just win, baby. Focus on the outcome, not the personality clash.
That's pragmatic. And what about when we're the ones facing trouble or feeling stuck? What's his rule of thumb plus?
It's simple but powerful. When you're in trouble, don't look back. Look forward. Replace the dread about what happened with curiosity about what's next.
Replace dread with curiosity. That keeps coming up.
Central, and then he really pushes for embracing nuance and compromise. He says flat out, complexity is what life is. It takes more courage to wade into the messy middle than to just stand on the edge yelling.
And he thinks that prison of two ideas stops us from solving big problems.
Absolutely. Things like homelessness, climate change, they get stuck because we're forced into these two opposing boxes, preventing real, nuanced solutions.
Did he have an example of breaking out of that?
Yeah, actually, he cites Donald Trump's Trillion Trees pledge.
Really? Why that?
Because it combined environmental action planting trees with a simultaneous condemnation of climate prophets of doom. It didn't fit neatly into either the standard environmentalist box or the standard conservative box. It was outside the prison.
Interesting.
He also warns about how debates become personal. You know, this is my planet, you're evil for polluting it. Once it gets personal like that,
Rational discussion is dead.
totally dead. So his advice is commit to compromise, allow for exceptions, be flexible.
And he extends this idea of breaking out of boxes to education too, right? He's pretty critical of the standard system.
Oh, yeah, he calls traditional schooling a waste of precious life. Pretty blunt.
So what's the alternative?
Start your own curriculum. He sees the internet as the ultimate free university. YouTube, online courses. You can learn anything. Guitar, philosophy, AI, it's all there.
Right.
He holds up Billie Eilish and Phineas O'Connell, who were homeschooled, as examples. They escaped that pressure to conform, that mimetic desire to just copy everyone else, and they found their own unique path.
Okay, here's where it gets really interesting.
Hmm.
Imagine, like he says, if education really was tailored to your passion. Creating a nation of Batmans and Batwomans, each with unique skills. How do you even start that, though? Seems huge.
His advice is don't make it huge. Don't set massive, intimidating goals. Focus on small, easy wins. He references Jordan Peterson here, just make your bed.
Start small, build momentum.
Exactly. Build those small, daily pluses.
So wrapping this all up, what does Gutfeld see as his own kind of personal mission in all this?
Yeah.
What influence does he hope to have?
Well, on a micro level, he talks about curating obscure music for his show, The Five.
Yeah.
He sees it as his little way of exposing people to new things, fulfilling his role on Earth.
Okay.
But bigger picture, he says his goal is to infect the right with Gutfelditis.
Gutfelditis. Is that contagious?
Hopefully, for him. He wants to make conservatives, or just people generally, looser, weirder, more willing to laugh, especially at themselves, and to take more risks rather than just falling into line with rigid dogma.
So we've really dug into this plus versus minus idea from Greg Gutfeld. We've looked at the dangers he sees, mob mentality, these unbending minds, and the importance he places on flexibility, thinking for yourself, and maybe even directing your own learning.
Yeah, it's definitely a different kind of self-help.
It really is. And these principles, they offer a fresh lens, maybe, for how you can navigate all the information coming at you and maybe handle those tricky interactions we all have. Now, as you go about your day, here's something to chew on. Gutfeld throws out this line that polarization is super fun,
Right.
at least as a spectator sport.
Watching the fights online.
Yeah. So it raises a question for you, listening. How much does your own enjoyment of that conflict, that online drama, actually fuel the very minuses we say we want to get rid of? Are you going to try and consciously be a plus today, maybe redirect some of that minus energy in your own life? Something to think about.